Well, tonight we renew focus on the quality of and access to information in the public domain, especially on social platforms where stories true and untrue are liked and shared aggressively without verification to the point where they catch fire and can have catastrophic consequences in real life. Separating truth from untruth, fact from fiction requires more stringent tools and savvy in this digital era, which is made all the more complicated by AI. Glenda Daniels is Associate Professor of Media Studies at Wits University and joins me now to discuss the things we should be aware of and vigilant against in a world where not everything can be taken on face value. Glenda, good evening to you and welcome to the program. Thank you in advance for your time. I want to set a little bit of a background here, and we'll start with the Reuters Media Trends and Predictions 2024 report released a few weeks ago. So they took insights from hundreds of news industry leaders around the world and defined some of the factors likely to shape journalism for the year ahead. And one prediction it makes is that AI will sweep the information landscape, including elections in more than 60 countries this year. What risks does that bring specifically?
Good evening, Iman, and thanks for having me. Huge risks, because at the present moment, we are already suffering from huge disinformation campaigns and fake news spreading because of the kind of populist politics we have in the world. We look at Donald Trump in the US, and we look at South Africa, India, and Narendra Modi, etc. So it's happening all over the world that social media is being used to spread campaigns for politicians, and part of this is also conspiracy campaigns. But one of the problems is that, of course, many people are not media literate, but they often are on social media platforms and are also enjoying the kind of traction that gains from highly sensationalized news. And a lot of people don't know what's fake from real, even people who are journalists. So if the Nick Newman report on the latest on AI and journalism, if that is all true, that in fact the majority of internet content will be synthetically generated, it creates massive problems for journalists. One, because journalists also rely on what's on the internet. Journalists also chase social media to try and verify things. And journalists also have lost a lot of jobs in the newsrooms, which means fact checkers are far and few between. And that's what we really need right now. We need to be double checking everything. And how do you get people who just quickly see what's on Twitter or Facebook or on a WhatsApp group, and they get so alarmed by what they see? Recently, it was Cyril Ramaphosa has died. It was all fake news, of course. He went home to work. It's quite a big difference from dying, naturally. And that news just spread, and everyone's running around, flurry. It's a very weird world that we're living in because of digitization, which of course has its huge benefits, but now we're seeing how the shenanigans that can come from it too.
It's so interesting to look at, just social behavior and how people, as you say, it's this massive sprawling mall of information and people are grabbing, consuming quickly. There's no time to sit down, digest, contemplate, interrogate even what's going on, compounded by the fact, as you've just pointed out, that some of it looks to be so real. In an earlier interview this week about a similar subject, my colleague Bongiwe was also reflecting on the fact that her likeness and my likeness and another colleague, Leanne's likeness, have been used, so almost believable in a commercial product with our voices and everything using AI. So if, as you say, just for the general public, but even for journalists, things look so like it could be real, how can the public honestly protect itself in ensuring that what it's consuming is credible, even if it looks to be credible, but may actually be synthetic?
Well, the thing is, because AI has become so intelligent that it can do voiceovers and faceovers and all sorts of, getting algorithms to do their own thing, so that, in fact, a whole lot of essays can be generated. So it raises problems for the academic world too. It's not that easy to actually say to people, well, you need to go and double check the facts on mainstream media, because people also put on labels saying this was a Sunday Times article, and then superimpose brands, whether it's ENCA or SABC or Daily Maverick or something like that onto an article and try and pass it off. So there's no one easy solution, but when something is too sensational or that you're actually questioning it, then maybe don't spread it yourself, because you're part of then this misinformation media landscape that we're all a part of right now. If you take the case of a false PhD certificate that was which I wrote about in the Daily Maverick Media Matters column, that was circulating on social media, a lot of people said, well, there you go, she has got a PhD. So all these people that are, going for her because she doesn't have a PhD and is a fake doctor, well, there's the PhD. Well, unless you know what a PhD certificate looks like, you're going to imagine that that's true news, that, it's actually authentic until somebody points it out. So I think people should just be very cautious in this age. Journalists in particular have to, for their credibility, have to double check the facts before they themselves tweet something or try and write a story about something they saw on social media. So it's become a difficult world, not just for journalists, but for obviously consumers of media. And obviously for South Africa at this particular point in time, with an election coming up, it's the most contested election since 1994. There are over 300 parties. It could well be the country with the most parties in the whole wide world. Even in 1994, it wasn't such a contested election. So can you imagine what a complete chaotic social media and media environment it's going to be, because politicians are going to enter the fray and influence this journalist and that journalist.
Well, Glenda, again, it requires of everyone in this time then to be extra vigilant. If you used to check before, check again and triple check, especially in a context where we don't even have as many resources or as many professionals left in the industry or in journalism to be able to do longer form, more interrogative pieces. The rule of thumb should be just slow down before you write something, before you accept something. Just slow down and give it a good going over. Ask people, cross-reference, make sure that there are multiple sources that can corroborate what is said, and use the tools that we have. There are a number of, analytical tools that are free for public use to do reverse image searches, to be able to check out video, date stamps, and see where these things originate from. If there is a time that we have to be vigilant, that time is now. Glenda Daniels, thank you, Associate Professor of Media Studies at Wits University, talking about just all the things we need to be aware of when it comes to the consumption of media and information. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we will talk about qualifications.